Under, get in for free. The event runs from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. inside the Butler Building at the fairgrounds. A 25-year-old man has died following a farm accident in Morton County. Authorities say Mark Hintz fell into a hay grinder while feeding cattle yesterday. He was found by a family member last night. First responders from Flasher and Mandan responded to the scene. And Minnesota Governor Tim Walz expressing openness to a possible merger between Minneapolis-based Fairview Health Services and Sioux Falls-based Sanford Health. The news shows a more receptive political climate for the two that initially tried to combine nearly a decade ago. Walz told the Star Tribune yesterday that his administration's engagement with Sanford has been transparent and candid even before discussions about a merger happened. The two health systems tried to merge in 2013, but the deal failed after resistance from Minnesota political leaders. This is Ty Schoner at The Flag and AM1100theflag.com. First at the news when you need to know.
I'm Jeff Bradall.
And I'm Eddie Christian. We're the hockey guys.
And then you look at Coach Territory. Again, I love those players, Ed, because I think you and I were them. We were those players that were a 2 or 3 or 4 year junior player just to get a chance to play college hockey.
Yeah, my son went to it. Got a little frustrated with not opportunity, but then ended up going to college at 22, and leadership and all that stuff comes there.
The Hockey Guys, heard right here, Saturday mornings at 8 on The Flag.
It wasn't close. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Just a day after the House vote, the Senate sends a bill to the president's desk that would avoid a rail strike by forcing unions to accept a tentative deal 4 of them had rejected.
On this vote, the yeas are 80, the nays are 15. 1 senator responded present.
Kentucky Republican Rand Paul voting present. A separate bill to add paid sick time failed in the Senate. The deal brokered by the White House did not include the 7 days workers wanted.
What was negotiated was so much better than anything they ever had.
President Biden defends the agreement initially approved by representatives of 12 unions, but he concedes paid sick leave should be guaranteed for all Americans.
I made it really clear I'm going to continue to fight for paid leave for not only rail workers, but for all American workers.
The president had urged Congress to impose the tentative agreement through legislation ahead of a potential strike and partial rail shutdown next week.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The president's plan to cancel some student loan debt will stay on hold, but it now has a date at the U.S. Supreme Court, which agrees to hear arguments in February on whether widespread cancellations are legal. Several Republican-led states have argued in part it exceeds the president's authority. The Biden administration was asking the Supreme Court to let the plan go forward while the court fight continues, but in the meantime, they've already extended a pause on loan payments into next year. The president says he makes no excuses for helping U.S. manufacturers in the Inflation Reduction Act, but that it wasn't intended to be at Europe's expense. The visiting French president, who's raised concerns, says Europeans will continue to move forward.
And we're not here simply really to ask for proof of love. We were here. We came to agree on a strategy and to clarify what was necessary to clarify. And we did.
Through a translator there, it's the first state visit for the Biden White House, which holds a state dinner tonight. America is listening to Fox News.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
Mostly cloudy for this evening with a southeast wind around 10 to 25 miles per hour, becoming 5 to 15 throughout tonight. We'll have a low temperature in the lower 20s, and temperatures will continue to fall into the afternoon of Friday into the teens. So winter weather advisory is in effect for Friday as light snow funnels into the area throughout the afternoon. With a northwest wind 20 to 40 miles per hour, will produce areas of blowing snow and reduced visibility, as well as wind chills as low as 20 below and 1 to 2 inches of snow. From the Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
There's one man on this earth who really truly gets it.
Apple, led by liberals from Silicon Valley worth hundreds of millions of dollars, Apple silently and quietly did communist China's dirty work the other day and made it very difficult, if not impossible, for one Chinese citizen to communicate with another, to censor them at the direction of the Communist Party of China.
Mark Levin is on the radio.
Live from the PetroServe USA studio, it's the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free.
Today we're going to have a little story time. I want you to use your imagination as you're driving along, listening to the sound of my voice. Maybe you're at the office, whatever it may be, but just kind of peek up your imagination here for a few minutes and just imagine for a moment being such a narcissist, such a scam artist that you have lost some of the working people's life savings. Like people saved... One person I'm going to introduce you to, $2 million over the course of his life. And it's whoosh, gone in a matter of moments because somebody was completely inept at their job, didn't do what they actually were supposed to be doing in a particular office. And you're such a narcissist that even though you've lost hundreds, if not thousands of people's potentially life savings, much, much more money than that, you have got the gall to sit in a penthouse in the Bahamas and not just feel shame about the fact that, hey, look, I'm sitting in a penthouse in the Bahamas that I bought with a bunch of people's monies that I've completely scammed because I'm such a narcissist. Not only that, I know what I'll do. I then will go out and do interviews with the New York Times and Good Morning America because I have no shame because this person is such a complete narcissist. That is what we're dealing with. And then it goes on to really just destroy certain aspects of the crypto industry and that industry as a whole. I mean, look, people are people, right? You can look at Bernie Madoff, other people that have done just very, very bad things, no matter the industry. But it sets up the perfect opportunity where, remember, it was the chief of staff for Barack Obama, Rahm Emanuel, said, you cannot let a crisis go to waste. So now you're going to have many of the global central banks thinking, hey, look, this is the perfect opportunity for us to step in and say, look, let us be the currency, digital currency, in order to protect you, the little person. It's not going to be about protection. It will thwart your liberty, thwart your sovereignty. And I bring this up because you've got to start to ask yourself, I thought Democrats fought for the little guy. I thought Democrats were out there fighting for the working class, and yet here's somebody who made billions and billions of dollars, destroyed many people's lives within the working class, and he's sitting here doing national interviews, global interviews on the media with no call for extradition from the Bahamas, no charges yet. How can you go and steal people's monies? I don't want to get into fraud because there can be libel issues with that word, but he clearly stole people's money and there hasn't even been charges brought against this person. Of course, I'm talking about Sam Bankman Fried and this FTX scandal. I want to play for you today. This morning, George Stephanopoulos, I'm not a huge fan of him. I mean, worked in the White House with the Clintons, but he does a very good job in this interview with Sam Bankman Fried. Came out today. So we're going to get to that, give you some analysis there. But I also want to just share with you how tone deaf some people are and really what you and I are up against when we're talking about these financial institutions, these financial people. Because when I play a couple clips for you, it is stunning to think that somebody can be this tone deaf to do what they did yesterday in New York at the end of the conversation with the New York Times and Andrew Sorkin and that whole thing. So first, let me play this for you. Andrew Sorkin, if you didn't see this, did the interview yesterday with Sam Bankman Fried. It was for this New York Times event. If you don't know Andrew Sorkin, he's on CNBC, does the morning show, the Squawk Box there, and got obviously a ton of emails from people in the audience saying, hey, can you ask him this? Can you find out this for me? By the way, if you want to call into the show today, in case you saw any of this or have any questions about the situation, again, how in the world can he be walking around as a free man with not even charges brought against him? How does that happen? If you're wondering and you haven't been following the story, well, I'll give you an idea. If you've got an extra 40, 50 million laying around and you want to donate that to Democrats, you're going to buy yourself insurance. That's how. You donate money to Democrat campaigns, and you apparently can go and lose hundreds of millions of dollars, completely thwart any sort of regulations, which, by the way, he also is now suggesting that the U.S. side of his business, because if you're not familiar, FTX had a U.S. side. They also had a global side. He's like, look, I think the U.S. piece is solvent. I think we could make all the U.S. investors whole. It is unbelievable to watch this saga and to know that he's sitting doing these interviews from a penthouse in the Bahamas. So let's get to where it impacts you and I. Just imagine being this person. You're going to hear a quick anecdote story here from Andrew Sorkin from some of the emails he got, and then the response. Jacob, we can get some volume, please. Thank you, sir.
One of the letters I got, I want to read to you, Sam, because it's from a gentleman who said that he lost his life savings. And the subject line is, Sam Bankman Fried stole $2 million from me. It says, Andrew, can you please ask SBF why he decided to steal my life savings and the $10 billion more from customers to give to his hedge fund, Alameda? Can you ask him why his hedge fund was leveraging long all of these S coins? I'm going to keep it polite for the kids.
He's laughing.
Please ask him if he thinks what happened was fraud. These are the kinds of letters that I've been getting repeatedly over the past several days. What do you tell this man?
Yeah. I mean, I'm deeply sorry about what happened.
One of the
Can you imagine? Somebody saved $2 million over the course of, I don't know how old this person is, right? Over the course of their lifetime, gone, completely wiped out, and he's doing an interview without any handcuffs on. How does that happen? By the way, it also talked about the $10 billion in assets that have been sent there. And I guess one thing I do want to share with you real quick, actually, let me play this other clip, then I'll set up some context for you so at least you and I can feel a little bit better, because as we often talk about here on the show, trust God in your gut today, and that's it. Trust God in your gut, and that is it. Number to call into the show, 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. Okay, so you just heard Andrew Sorkin there talk about how you just wiped out a man, $2 million of his life savings. You've also wiped out another $10 billion of assets that were invested within your company. Now, that was all happening right there in New York City with a group of people that spent probably $2,500 a head to sit in that room and listen to Sam Bankman Fried speak. It was also the president of Ukraine was there, other people. And Sam Bankman Fried, they're wrapping things up. Andrew Sorkin does this thing. Listen closely here to the very end. What the audience does after they just were told the story of $2 million, $10 billion wiped out because of his ineptitude.
On behalf of everybody here and on behalf of the public, I want to thank you for engaging in it at a time, in truth, when I know you've been advised not to. So thank you so very, very much. Thank you.
What?
You've been advised not to.
Listen to
so
this.
Thank you so very, very much. Thank you. Sam Bankman Fried, everybody.
They are applauding. They are applauding this person who has wiped people out across the country, across the globe, and they are applauding him for sitting in a penthouse in the Bahamas for doing an interview. That might be, it's shameful enough that he's sitting there doing the interviews. The fact that people are actually applauding him is just beyond for me. Now, one of the things I do want to share with you, just to make ourselves feel a little bit better about our gut, our instincts, right? I don't know if you had money in FTX or not. If you did, I'm going to share this with you because this too hopefully will make you feel a little bit better just about the situation as a whole. I apologize if your assets are gone. It's horrible, but just understand this, and this may make you, okay, well, I wasn't the only person that thought, hey, maybe there's a there. Again, if you want to call into the show, number to do so, 701 701-1100, 701-271-1100. This is according to a newsletter I follow on Twitter. It's called the Kobesi letter. Not even sure how to pronounce it, but they put out some pretty good intel when it comes to financial markets and what's happening across the country, across the globe. So listen to this. These are some notable investors in FTX. And I want to read some of their document that Sequoia Capital put out. If you're not familiar with Sequoia Capital, huge VC firm out in the Bay, have a ton of money, which you're going to hear more about in a minute. But Sequoia Capital, according to this Kobesi letter, they put in $250 million into FTX. Okay, so if you had some money in there and you're like, holy cow, I can't believe this guy just completely stole my money and was playing around with it and leveraging the heck out of it, just realize that also Sequoia Capital put in $250 million. Now, in a moment here, I'm going to read some of the letter that Sequoia Capital sent out to their investors in regards to the due diligence they did on FTX. And again, if you watched any of these interviews, the one with George Stephanopoulos, the one with Andrew Sorkin, and you look at this 30-year-old guy, I don't know how anybody can give him a nickel. How can anybody listen to him and go, yeah, let's give this guy $250 million, or Paradigm lost $215 million, whatever it is. How could anybody listen to him and look at him and go, yes, I want to invest that kind of capital with Sam Bankman Fried? It's stunning. BlackRock as well. $24 million they put into FTX. Gandhi. Tiger Global, $38 million. Gandhi. Insight Partners, $40 million. Gandhi. Thomas Bravo, $150 million. Gandhi. Temasek, $210 million. I mean, these are major firms that have got obviously a ton of people to do a ton of due diligence to look into when they're going to deploy $250 million, and they still got smoked by this guy. So I bring all that up because if you were a part of it, if you did lose some money within FTX, hopefully you realize that there were a lot of what we perceive to be smart people making similar decisions. I've got about a minute here, so we may cover some of this when we come back, and then I've got the interview with George Stephanopoulos. And again, when you hear it, he did a really nice job today. I mean, getting to the core of some things, and it's pretty clear. And even I think Mark Cuban said this earlier today, that, look, SBF should be locked up for a really long time. How there has not been extradition requested by the United States, I've got no idea. George Stephanopoulos suggests that there are some investigations happening. I don't know who's doing them right now. I'd love to find out. But I'll give you some more details on this when we come back. But I will share this with you. This is from the letter of Sequoia Capital. Again, major VC investment firm out in the Bay Area. And one of the lines or one of the paragraphs they've got in the letter here is, we're in the business of taking risk. Some investments will surprise to the upside, some will surprise to the downside. We do not take this responsibility lightly and do extensive research and thorough diligence on every investment we make. Really? How does Sequoia Capital do thorough research and due diligence on FTX and not see what's happening and the huge hole in the balance sheets? And how they're, if you haven't followed this, Alameda Research is the sister company where they basically were printing, he called them S tokens, Andrew Sorkin did, S coins, S tokens, to help create this fungible aspect of money and leverage the heck out of assets that were used to then go buy homes for people at FTX. I'll read more of this when we come back, plus the interview from George Stephanopoulos from earlier today. I also want to say thank you to Red Wing Shoes for sponsoring our studio email inbox. You can email us 24/7 at studio@chrisbergshow.com. Again, that's studio@chrisbergshow.com, and find out more at redwingshoes.com. Stick around.
Are you all pumpkined out? Moxie Java has 12 unique Christmas drinks to celebrate the holiday season.
How about some roasted reindeer mocha with caramel sauce, butter pecan, and hazelnut? A gingerbread latte or seasonal favorite, Noggin the Nog, an eggnog latte with butter rum. Yum!
If you have a Christmas drink craving, Moxie Java has you covered. They have warm, cozy indoor seating, a fireplace, and free Wi-Fi.
If you're on the go, try the drive-thru next to Bell Bank at the corner of 32nd and Cheyenne, at the Lights in West Fargo. Moxie Java, online at moxiejava.com.
Here's another hospice story of compassion, brought to you by Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry.
After my dad's fall, we engaged Hospice of the Red River Valley to come and help us because we didn't know which direction to go. Hospice gave us the opportunity to keep him at home, and they became a part of our family. Hospice of the Red River Valley gave us the time to spend with him and keep him at home until he passed. If someone asked me about using Hospice of the Red River Valley, I would tell them, don't wait. I didn't think he would qualify. We didn't think that was the direction this was going to go. And had we waited, we would have had a different outcome. Hospice of the Red River Valley can provide you with tons of resources to navigate this time in your life.
Hospice of the Red River Valley has comforted numerous families across all walks of life. Schmitz encourages you to leave a legacy for you and your family. To help Hospice with their mission, you can call, go in person, or find out more online at hrrv.org.
Hey, it's Scott Hannon. Our family absolutely loves the full water treatment system we put in our home from Lindsay Echo Water. We live in a flood zone. We have the best ag land in the country. The river floods over, and on that land, the water recedes, and the trace elements of those herbicides go into our water, unless you have a full water treatment system like I do from Lindsay Echo Water Systems. Cooking is way better, too. Same with coffee. Go to lindsayEchoWater.com for details or call 218-233-8655, 218-233-8655.
Lofi's Holiday Sweepstakes is back. The Bakers of Country Hearth would like to put a little more jingle in your holiday this season by giving you a chance to win one of two $500 prizes or the grand prize of $1,000. Winners will each receive a check that can be used for travel, gifts, or just celebrating with family and friends, whatever makes their holiday more jolly. For complete rules and to enter for your chance to win, visit countryhearthbreads.com/sweeps.
Hi there, Teresa from the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. I'd like to thank you, the hardworking men and women, for supporting our small business, because we couldn't do it without you. So thank you to each and every one of you for helping us have this memorable year. It's been our pleasure to help you. If you've never worn Red Wing boots, stop in and see what we're all about at 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Red Wing shoes for ultimate durability.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. Being informed can be freedom for many of us, but it also helps if things are communicated simply and succinctly. And so I get so fired up in some of these conversations. I just start going off, I guess, on some lingo. And so one of the verbiage I was using was VC, which stands for venture capital. So Sequoia is a company that lost $250 million. Sequoia Capital lost $250 million in this FTX scandal. They are a venture capital company. So they go out and they plant seeds of capital, if you will, into companies to help them hopefully grow into what are called unicorns. If you know that term, a unicorn is a company that grows into be $1 billion business. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. So we're going to have Chris Larson be our ombudsman from here on out. If you've ever watched the Dan Bongino show, they do a really nice job. Dan's producers, like the ombudsman, kind of going, hey, are we tracking this? Are we tracking this? And the ombudsman can be like, Dan, come on, man. You're talking over us. Let's go here. So Chris Larson, I wanted to bring you in to be the ombudsman today and help me out to make sure that I am communicating simply and succinctly, my friend.
I'm excited.
Woo, that was some good feedback. Let's try that again, my friend. Chris Larson is our tech guru here trying to figure this out, and now I'm getting feedback, but he will get there. So hopefully that helped make some sense. And Chris, when we get it figured out, let me know, and then we can bring you in, or if you even want to call into the show and do it that way. But just to ensure that what we're discussing here is making sense in a very simple fashion. So, Chris, are we better now, my friend?
Well, we should be better. How's it going, Chris?
Really good. It was.
Good.
But now I've got all right, so Chris will figure this out later on the show. So we're going to continue here with the Sequoia Capital situation. This letter, again, they are a venture capital firm. It says, we're in the business of taking risk. Some investments will surprise to the upside. Some will surprise to the downside. We do not take this responsibility lightly and do extensive research and thorough diligence on every investment we make. At the time of our investment in FTX, we ran a rigorous diligence process. I mean, it just, you read this and you're like, which, by the way, the fund, so they've got an investment fund, right? Sort of like an ETF, if you know what that is, where it's like a mutual fund kind of situation. The fund that they were investing with FTX in is like a $7.5 billion fund. So for them to lose, $250 million, they're trying to say, look, we know we lost some money here, but not that big of a deal in the big picture. But how does a company like Sequoia Capital, who has got all kinds of very, very smart people on the team, come out and say, hey, we did a rigorous diligence process on FTX and still blow $250 million? I don't know how that happens. All I want to share with you is that if you're someone that lost some money in the scandal, that hopefully that makes you feel in some way, shape, or form a little bit better that, you know what? The guy sold a bill of goods to a lot of people. All right, I want to get to this interview with George Stephanopoulos. He was on Good Morning America this morning. He actually flew down to the Bahamas, did an interview with SBF Sam Bankman Fried. I will pause. We'll do some analysis through this because there's some stunning admissions from SBF, but here it is.
A lot of people look at you and see Bernie Madoff.
Yeah. I don't think that's who I am at all, but I understand why they're saying that. People lost money, and people lost a lot of money. And I mean, at the end of the day, look, there's a question of what happened and why, and who did what caused the meltdown. And I think that reads very differently, right? When you look at the classic Bernie Madoff story, there was no real business there. The whole thing, as I understand it, I think was just one big Ponzi scheme, right? FTX, that was a real business.
He was at the top of the cryptocurrency world. 30-year-old billionaire Sam Bankman Fried.
You just need FTX.
Tom Brady.
FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
I don't think so. Super Bowl ads, naming stadiums, Steph Curry, Gisele Bündchen.
We did a lot of things to try and bolster our reputation, to try and, help our brand.
But in the early morning hours of November 11th, it all came to an end when FTX filed for bankruptcy and Bankman Fried stepped down as CEO amid reports of FTX customer funds being used to pay Alameda Research creditors. This confirmed by former Alameda CEO Carolyn Ellison.
Now, what's really important to remember here is that I think it was a week or two before they actually filed for BK, you had SBF out on Twitter going, hey, we're fine. Remember, there were some other organizations, companies, 3 Arrowhead, other people, companies big in crypto that were collapsing at the time. And SBF goes on Twitter and says, we're good. We can cover our reserves. We can cover the assets. Don't worry about it. And then, poof. I mean, within a few days, all of a sudden, he was calling up the CEO of what's called Binance, which is another exchange. We're going to get to that later in the show to help you understand what that is. But he's calling up the CEO of Binance going, hey, can you bail me out? Binance says no because there's a gaping hole in his balance sheets. And now we're at this point where people are losing a lot of money.
During an early November video meeting with employees. Alameda, the crypto trading firm also founded by Bankman Fried. ABC News reached out to Carolyn Ellison for comment, but has not heard back.
One of the reasons FTX went bankrupt is because FTX deposits were used to pay Alameda's creditors. Carolyn Ellison said you knew about that. Is that true?
Best I can tell, Alameda did have a big position open on FTX. That position, I think, was very over collateralized a year ago. There is a total market collapse and, specifically a large correlated collapse in its assets, over the last month and to some extent over the last year that, threatened that position quite a bit. And I think that's, as best I understand, a lot of what happened there.
I am no cryptocurrency expert. I'm no finance expert, but I don't think you answered my question. I always ask you, did you know that FTX deposits were used to pay off Alameda creditors?
He's literally, I don't know if you can hear it through the radio there, but he's literally repeating the question to himself, looking down. Did I know that Alameda? Like, I just am praying that we start to realize you had Tom Brady, Gisele Bundchen, Sequoia Capital, Steve Curry, a lot of people saying yes to this guy, showing up in T-shirts, playing video games during investment meetings, and handing him cash.
I don't know of FTX deposits being used to pay off Alameda creditors. Are you, which creditors are you referring to?
Carolyn Ellison said that you all knew that funds were put into Alameda. They were the funds owned by your depositors.
So I can't speak for who knew what. A lot of the customers on FTX did have, borrows either, in dollars or Bitcoin or euros.
But as you know, the FTX terms of service tell the people who signed up, none of the digital assets in your account are the property of or shall be or may be loaned to FTX trading. But you're saying that happened.
My understanding is a few things happened. The first is there is a margin trading facility on FTX by which users can lend out funds, by which other users borrow funds. And so there are explicit cases where there is, margin extended, where there is borrow lending.
If Alameda is borrowing the money that belongs to FTX depositors, that's a bright red line, isn't it?
There are a lot of cases where that's actually explicitly part of the programs and that are happening.
Not here. Here it says that the digital assets may not be loaned to FTX trading. They can't be loaned out.
And again, I apologize if the sound, apparently we just got a phone call. Thank you so much, Scott, for that. It might be a little bit quiet on your end, so if you can just turn up your radio, we've got it cranked here. But again, it's in his terms of policy that it will not be loaned out. Good for George going, hey, man, it's right here in writing. And then you've got SBF repeating the question again to himself. It's stunning. Not only the interview, the other piece, again, no charges, no extradition, no handcuffs, and the guy denies his attorneys and goes talks. Who in their right mind, understanding that you've just blown $2 million of a guy's life savings, $10 billion in assets, goes and talks against what your attorney's will are, unless you know you have insurance. That's what $40 to $70 million can get you when you give it to Maxine Waters, when you give it to Beto O'Rourke, when you give it to the right people. I want to remind you, please stop into your local PetroServe USA, because we're coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio, helping you and America fuel better. More this amazing interview right after this.
10 to 25 miles per hour, becoming 5 to 15 throughout tonight. We'll have a low temperature in the lower 20s, and temperatures will continue to fall into the afternoon of Friday into the teens. So winter weather advisory is in effect for Friday as light snow funnels into the area throughout the afternoon. With a northwest wind 20 to 40 miles per hour, it will produce areas of blowing snow and reduced visibility, as well as wind chills as low as 20 below and 1 to 2 inches of snow. From the Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Hey, what should we do for date night?
Let's go to Three Lions Pub in West Fargo. Fridays, they have great deals. We can get 2 meals and 2 glasses of wine for just $30.
Or we can get a bottle of wine and 2 meals for $35.
Oh, I like that.
Thought you would. They also have Shinerbach Holiday Cheer on tap at Three Lions Pub. And Monday and Thursdays are trivia nights with late night trivia on Wednesdays.
First responders, military, and seniors get a 15% discount.
Friends, food, and fun at Three Lions Pub on 13th Avenue in West Fargo.
Did you know that periodontal disease is the #1 health problem in small animal patients? Hello, I'm Dr. Calderwood, a veterinary dental practitioner at Prairie Winds Veterinary Center. By 2 years of age, 80% of dogs and 70% of cats have some form of periodontal disease. If you notice a change in your pet's playful habits, breath, or facial swelling, there's a chance that your pet is suffering from mouth pain. Prairie Winds Veterinary Center can help. Call us at 701-356 888-878-5600 or learn more at prairiewindsvet.com.
You've heard me talk about MyPillow and the good night's sleep that I get. Well, guess what? Mike Lindell continues to roll out offers on his products. His latest on the towel set. Towels aren't something you think about often. I tell you, I never knew what I was missing until I tried the towels last year. Mike Lindell has done it again, now changing the game with his 6-piece towel set. This set is made with USA cotton, making it extremely absorbent, yet still providing that soft feel you look for in a towel. The set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths, typically retailing for $89.98. For a limited time, get this set for the low price of $39.98 with the promo code SCOTT. Remember, all MyPillow products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Just go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials. Get this insanely low price of $39.98 on the 6-piece towel set. You'll find deep discounts on other MyPillow products, too. Enter promo code SCOTT or call 800-506-9028 for these great specials.
The Tioga Chamber of Commerce is proud to sponsor programming on AM 1090 KTGO and AM 550 KFYR. Tioga is an active community that offers great activities for families like Freedom Fest, Drone Camp for Kids, Farm Festival, Pumpkin Fest, and Robot Camp for Kids. We have a vibrant downtown Main Street and a brand new community center. Tioga's average median age is 39.6 years old with a median income of $73,000 per year, supporting nearly 140 businesses in the Tioga area. And we welcome new businesses and industries with plenty of active community groups that support the business environment. Tioga also supports local education with technologies like drones, 3D printers, and electronics and coding opportunities to prepare students for success well into the 21st century. Please visit us in Tioga and experience a different point of view. Or for more information, visit www.tiogaND.org. That's tiogaND.org.
Your farm and business depends on a reliable source for energy. PetroServe USA is the customer-owned co-op committed to being a stable source of fuel for your equipment and propane to dry your grain. We have the capacity to make sure you never run out of fuel and to keep prices stable. Dependability, competitive prices, and exemplary service. That's PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better.
PetroServe USA.
Call today.
On the flag.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. Coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio, helping you and America fuel better. If you happen to be driving by Harwood at any time today, tomorrow, ever, please stop into the big and beautiful, it's brand new, the brand new PetroServe USA store there. One of the beautiful things about it, it's also got a Cafe USA. So you can head in there, you can fill up your gas tank, and then jump into the shop and go to the Cafe USA and grab some burgers or some chicken or just some really delicious food. I'm, as you know, a huge fan of the cookies there. I mean, they're addictive, so pick up a bunch of cookies as well. Take them home, take them to the office. People there will love you. All right, we're breaking down the FTX scandal and how in the world can Sam Bankman Fried not have charges, calls for extradition. I mean, you can go on and on down the line, right? The fact that he's in a Bahama penthouse doing interviews with George Stephanopoulos on Good Morning, you're just like, what world are we living in? So there are some really interesting, unbelievable pieces to this interview that we're going to get to in a moment. First, we want to bring in super producer Chris Larson. He's been our ombudsman here for the show and has a question for us as well. So, Chris, welcome. Hopefully we've got you now with some better sound, my friend.
Hey, Chris. Yeah, in watching this interview with SBF, what really confuses me is when he took that pause and looked down. I mean, isn't it better if you're in this situation to just admit it now and take your fall? I mean, you're already falling. It's just crazy.
It's beyond crazy. And I think you bring up an interesting point, and that's what I mean by the insurance and the $40 million. I've seen also $70 million he's donated, but whatever it is, it's a lot of money. And I think, Chris, you may disagree with this, but it just seems like he feels like he's got this sort of iron shield. He's like, look, I paid these people off. I've got my insurance. I mean, the fact that how would anybody, knowing what he's done, sit down with two very extensive, rigorous interviews? I and especially if he doesn't do time, I definitely don't get it.
No, exactly. He's already put people in through so many things. I mean, it's hard for me to watch and say, hey, why don't you just say something? Why don't you just admit it? And then take the chips as they may be. And the fact that he's not facing any charges.
Well,
what?
Let me play some more of this interview for you, because there's a couple times in the interview you're like, did he just say that out loud? Like, what? So let's get back to the interview. This is Sam Bankman Fried. It was played today. Apparently, George Stephanopoulos flew down to the Bahamas, sat down, did an extensive interview with Sam. Here's some more.
There existed a borrow lending facility on FTX. And I think that's probably covered, I don't remember exactly where, but somewhere else in the terms of service.
But they'd have to approve of that. They're saying they didn't approve of it here. They're saying you approved of it.
If you rewind to, the beginning of FTX, where, some customers were, I think in line with sort of existing relationships that they've had, at least in some cases, wiring money straight to Alameda Research in order to trade on FTX.
So you do know, and you did know, that FTX deposits were being funneled to Alameda.
Now, if you haven't been following the story, so FTX obviously was the big exchange everybody knew about. Alameda Research was the sister company that they were leveraging out your ass. So let's say you gave FTX $10,000 or $100,000 or $1 million. Then what they would do is they would then basically funnel some of that money, which they don't own in the first place, right? It's just an exchange. And then they would funnel it to Alameda Research to go out and leverage it to go out and generate more money. Sometimes they would use their token FTT. I mean, it is such a Ponzi deal, but he's still walking around.
So I was vaguely aware that was how some wires were being sent in the first place.
Didn't that set off alarm bells in your head?
So there were a lot of people who were involved in that process. And look, I really deeply wish that I had taken a lot more responsibility for understanding what the details were of what was going on there. I knew that legal was involved. I knew that other groups at the company were involved, that, there were agreements drafted up.
But you're ultimately responsible.
And ultimately, absolutely. I should have been on top of this. And I feel really, really bad and regretful that I wasn't. And a lot of people got hurt. And that's on me.
Here's what Mark Cuban has to say about that.
Yep.
He said, if I were him, I'd be afraid of going to jail for a long time.
At the end of the day, it's not my call what happens, and the world will judge me as it will.
Are you worried about going to jail?
There are a lot of things that are worrying me right now. And as best as possible, I'm trying to focus on what I can do going forward to be helpful, and, let whatever, regulatory and legal processes are happening play out as they will.
I do want to move on, but just finally on this. This is really a yes or no question.
Yep.
Carolyn Ellison says you knew that FTX funds were being funneled to Alameda.
Carolyn Ellison was his girlfriend in the penthouse. Okay. This is unbelievable. She was the CEO of this Alameda Research, which was the sister company with FTX. She's 28. A while back, I played an interview of a podcast from her. She's 28 years old and talking about how she loves Harry Potter and dealing with billions and billions of dollars.
Did you know that?
I knew that there is an open margin position there, and that involved.
I know, but that's not what I'm asking. If she's in court and you're in court and she's under oath and you're under oath, and you're asked, did you know that these funds were being funneled to Alameda, what is your answer?
That's all you need to know.
I did not know that there's any improper use of customer funds.
You also took out a $1 billion loan. What was that for?
That was generally for reinvesting in the company. That was not for, consumption.
Listen to this exchange.
To my knowledge, I have basically nothing left. Basically everything I had was invested in the business. I expect I'm going to have nothing at the end of this. I think I had $100,000 left in my bank account last I checked, and I think I have, one credit card working with that right now.
Earlier this summer, you thought you had, what, 32 billion?
Probably 20, but a whole lot more than I do now.
I can't imagine what it feels like to go from $20 billion to $100,000.
Yeah, it's been a really humbling fall in a lot of ways.
Do you understand who's in power right now? Do you understand who's running the administration? It's called the Democrats, the people that want you to believe that they're going to go out and fight for the little guy. Like Garland could easily, hey, we need to have this person extradited. We need to file some charges, okay? Here you are talking about a person that went from $20 billion and they're crying about having $100,000 in their bank account. There's people right now in America that are going to work all of December basically for free just because of inflation. Inflation is getting rid of like $3,000 to $5,000 of your disposable income this year just because of inflation. People are going to basically work for free the month of December. And this guy's like, oh, man, I know. I've only got $100,000 in my bank account.
How do you explain the failure? Was it inattention, arrogance?
It's a good question.
Was it unethical?
Some part of it was just literal distraction. I really should have spent some time each day taking a step back and saying, what are the most important things here, right? And like, how do I have oversight of those and make sure that I'm not losing track of those? And frankly, I did a pretty incomplete job at that. I spent a lot less time looking at assets and looking at balances and positions because that's not where revenue came from. And so I wasn't seeing it as a core business driver. Obviously, it was a core risk, and that was a huge mistake of mine to not think more about that.
You said one of your great talents in a podcast was managing risk.
That's right. And
it's obviously wrong.
Well, I think that there's something maybe even deeper wrong there, which was I wasn't even trying. Like, I wasn't spending any time or effort trying to manage risk on FTX, and that obviously
that's
a
stunning admission.
What?
That's a pretty stunning admission.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, what happened, and like, if
can you? You just destroyed people's lives, and you're like, I didn't take any time managing risk. I just was thinking about how am I going to put FTX on top of the Miami Stadium, and how do I get Tom Brady to promote this and Gisele Bündchen? But I wasn't thinking, what? Like that's your job in the finance world. And he's like, I wasn't even, and then you've got Sequoia Capital telling you how they did this incredibly rigorous due diligence process in 2021. Something just isn't right here. I don't know what it is. I hope that my gut is wrong because it's going to be really, really bad. But boy, it is just really ugly. Really, really ugly. If this thing ends up being a washing machine for Ukraine, whoo-wee. All right, when we come back, very special guests. This is a really important question because we all talk about healthcare and, the good, the bad, the ugly of it. Do you know what the number one reason is why people in America, other than FTX, file for bankruptcy? The number one reason in America why people file for bankruptcy in America is because... We'll talk about that right after this.
North Dakota is a special place.
Oil and gas support.
Been looking for a golf cart for the lake, cabin, or the course? Largest selection of Club Car Onward golf carts within 150 miles is available at All Season Motorsports. 0% financing. That's 0% financing for up to 36 months on 2022 and 23 Club Car golf carts. All inventory must go. Largest selection of club cars at 0% financing. All Season Motorsports off I-94 and Cheyenne Street, West Fargo. Hurry before they're gone.
National Admissions Team has years of real-world military experience, so we know just how to support your advancement every step of the way. We offer scholarships, credit for prior learning, and make sure you and your family receive all available military benefits. Classes start every 5 weeks. Discover University of Mary's true military-friendly community at umary.edu/military services.
The best part about taking ZQuil Pure Z's Sleep Plus Next Day Energy at night is actually the next morning. I wake up alert with none of the grogginess from taking too much melatonin. Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy is a bilayer tablet with immediate release melatonin and extended release B vitamins to help me fall asleep naturally and wake refreshed. It's my secret weapon for a great night's sleep and a great morning.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
can't beat that.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's gummies. Sleep better, wake your best.
What you've heard about probiotics is probably wrong.
I eat yogurt, so I don't need to take a probiotic.
Probiotics? They don't really work.
It's time to learn the truth about probiotics from Align, the probiotic brand recommended by gastroenterologists 2 times more than any other probiotic brand. Align has probiotics to naturally help relieve occasional bloating, gas, and abdominal discomfort. Try Align for a month and see how great a healthy gut can feel at AlignProbiotics.com.
For America's wounded warriors, coming home can sometimes be a battle in itself. Making the transition back to civilian life or active duty with a traumatic injury can be the challenge of a lifetime. The USO provides every American a way to support our wounded warriors and their families through every phase of their medical treatment and rehabilitation. It's how all of us, as a community, can give something back to our heroes. It's how we can say thank you and assure them that their sacrifice is recognized and appreciated by every one of us. Join us. Visit USO.org to learn how you can make a difference in the lives of our wounded warriors and their families. The USO, until everyone comes home.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. One of the most impactful, and I say that for good reason, I use that word, and one of my favorite nonprofits in the community is a organization program called Lend a Hand Up. And I bring that up because I shared with you before the break, I said, hey, actually the biggest reason that the people in the United States of America end up filing for bankruptcy, it's not credit card debt. It's not, hey, I can't pay. It's because of medical bills. It's unpaid medical bills because I'm sure many of you had that experience before. And Gina Pinovich will share some stories where, you go and you're just trying to take care of your family. And next thing you know, you open up the mailbox and like, oh, there's $100,000. Oh, it's shocking some of the bills that come through. And of course, many people, we can't afford that kind of care. And so Lend a Hand Up does a great job, and I'll let her explain it, but helping people pay these medical bills so they don't have to file for BK. And I think most importantly, just give them some peace of mind. So as they're going through the holidays and whatnot, it's like, hey, things are stressful enough when you're trying to take care of a loved one and a relative, let alone having to worry about, these huge things showing up in your mailbox going, wait, what? I had no idea. So Gina Pinovich, the great leader at Lend a Hand Up, happy holidays and great to have you here.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Always a pleasure to be here.
So you always have this special program called Holiday Hand Up, like it, during the holiday season. Tell us about it.
So this is our 3rd annual event, December 1st through 15th. So we're just launching it today. So it's an opportunity for people to give, to lend a hand up, and to have all those donations pooled and go right back out to all those families we're helping in time for the holidays. So December 1st to 15th, you can go to lendahandup.org, click on Holiday Hand Up, make your gift, or you could make a gift by check to Holiday Hand Up, or to Lend a Hand Up either. And either way, that's what we're going to do. We have a match from Gateway Chevrolet and the Alex Stern Family Foundation. So the first $10,000 will be matched, and everything we raise is going to go back to those families in time for their Christmas.
How does the match work?
So when people make a gift, we just, they've already provided that match up front. We think we hope to go beyond that match. We'd love to get all 26 families. Right now, Chris, we have more families than ever. Wow. So if we can raise $26,000, every one of those families is going to get an extra $1,000 gift for the holidays.
So what do you attribute more families than ever to? Just what's going on right now in the world?
Well, times are tough. Inflation is there. An example of what you just talked about, there's a fundraiser, a benefit in Leonard tomorrow night for Karen Schmidt, one of our recipients of our fundraising efforts. And she had breast cancer, and she decided she was going to work through it, going to continue working full time. She did really well. I think she made it about 13 weeks before all of a sudden, that reaction hits. She's in the hospital. And then you've got hospital stays, above and beyond the clinical and the treatment. And she was so ill then, she was never able to go back to work. And so you think about how people are paying in for that insurance. First, when you can't work, you have lost wages. You use all your PTO time, and then you end up having to pay for that premium too, because you're not working enough hours to have that, have that coverage without adding on to your bills with the premium. So I just think that's where people start spiraling, is they've got more expenses, less wages, and some people travel for care. We have a young man we just added to our fundraising portal named Reese, teenager, 16 years old. He thought he had the flu. Chris, they went into the clinic last week. He had a heart anomaly and was flown to the cities and is right now on a breathing machine until they can find that heart transplant. So I mean, just think of what something like that, how it devastates. That mom is now there with him. The other kids are at home. So you've got added expenses. So I think with an event like Holiday Hand Up, it's a great time for people who have that capacity to give this giving season. These are all our neighbors. You can go on our site. We're very transparent about who we're helping. You can certainly direct a gift online to any of those fundraisers, one or several families, or you can make a gift to Holiday Hand Up, and then that's a charitable gift that's going to be evenly divided to help all of them.
So can you give the website, please, so people can go there?
lendahandup.org and click on Holiday Hand Up. That banner is big and bold. You'll be sure to find it.
lendahandup.org and lendahandup.org. And I think one of the things that you spoke about for a moment, and then I really want you to hone in on for people to help them understand the impact that they can make, whether it's $20, $100, and if you've got more, congratulations, and please make an impact with this organization, because it's not like many other online giving programs where they take a piece of the action. Correct me if I'm wrong, but every penny that people donate to Holiday Hand Up, Lend a Hand Up goes to these families. Yes?
Every penny, 100% goes to the families. And then with our extra match now this holiday season, the gifts go even further.
You just say that like, no big deal, but I think it's a really big deal because there's so many organizations out there, and I don't want to use any names, but they're always taking a little piece of the action, and you guys are saying, no, if you give us $100 is going to this 16-year-old, for example, not down in the city.
Right. Instead of taking a part of people's generosity, instead we add to it with our boosts and our matches. Everything goes to the families on those online fundraisers. Those funds are connected to their bank funds, so it's going right to those families. We're just facilitating the giving. We're not reaping from the giving.
Wow. God, it goes so fast with you. Gina Pinovich again. Go to lendahandup.org. I've got about 20 seconds. Anything else you want to add or share?
No. Be generous this holiday season. Help a neighbor.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Again, Holiday Hand Up, lendahandup.org. Go there. Go check it out now. And if it's on your heart to help make a difference for some of these families, you can see, like she mentioned, 26 families right now that are dealing with some sort of health issue or challenge. And it can be scary when you're sitting in the hospital. I can't imagine the mom and the family with a 16-year-old, what's going through their heart and minds right now. So if you can make a difference, please do so. Thank you for being here. It's always good to see you.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, tomorrow we've got our Feel Good Friday, thanks to Dakota Medical Foundation and Giving Hearts Day, so we'll chat about that. Also, we are working on a very special guest that we hope to have. I don't want to say something that won't happen tomorrow, but you'll find out when you join us tomorrow at 4 o'clock right here on The Chris Berg Show.